Looking to take your financial knowledge to the next level? You're in the right place. Welcome to Ask Ralph, offering accounting, technical, and financial advice. Whether you're looking to save taxes or improve your business, he's got you covered. Here's your host of Ask Ralph, Ralph Eastup Jr.
Welcome back to the Ask Ralph Show. Now we're going to talk about something that I've never covered on the show. It's not something I really think about a lot, but I saw a great article by Liz Weston of NerdWallet, and that is how to be a happy timeshare owner. Now, I hear about timeshares, in my practice because I may have a tax client who comes to me and says, "Hey, Ralph, I've got this timeshare. What can we write off about this timeshare? Can we write off the monthly payments I'm making? Can we write off the taxes and all that?" And that's not even what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to talk about today is how to be a happy timeshare owner. Many people are desperate to shed their timeshares. If you watch TV at all, you will see all sorts of commercials of how am I going to get you out of your timeshare? You can see, the retired couple has paid as little as 50 cents for used timeshares. They parlayed their timeshare weeks at 4 mainland U.S. resorts and affordable stays in England, Spain, Costa Rica, Hawaii, Mexico, and the Caribbean. Then you also hear nightmare stories, but if you know how to work it, you can plan ahead. It's the best thing ever, says Angie McCaffrey, 71-year-old woman that Liz Weston, interviewed. Timeshares are a way to use vacation property, typically resort and condominiums with bedrooms and kitchens for a week each year. In addition to the upfront cost of buying, owners must pay annual maintenance fees, which currently average about $900, but can total $3,000 or more for higher end properties. And the thing I will say first is you have to take a very strong look at exactly what you're buying into. My in-laws a few years back, they went to Vegas, and I didn't know this at the time, but, there was this timeshare company that, hey, we're going to pay for you to take a trip to Vegas, and we're going to pick you up at the airport in a limousine, and I'll tell you what, we're going to wine you and dine you. And they called my wife, one morning and said, "Hey, guess what? Your father and I bought a timeshare." And my wife says, "Oh, okay, that's great." And she says to her mother, she says, "Well, how much did you pay for it?" And the mom said, $25. And of course, it's early in the morning on a Saturday or Sunday. My wife goes, "Okay, $2,500. And my wife says, No, what? How much?" And they had paid $25,000 for this timeshare. And I'm not going to talk about the benefits of that timeshare versus another, but you need to understand what you're buying. So one of the things the person interviewed here is Brian Rogers, owner of the Timeshare Users Group. He comes up with these points of happy timeshare owners. This is what you need to do. Number one, understand that timeshares aren't a financial investment. That's thing number one. This is not an investment. This is not an investment portfolio. This is not something that you're going to list as one of your investment assets. The average cost of timeshares sold by resort developers has risen over time and now tops $20,000. So I guess that $25,000 that my in-laws paid wasn't that bad. This is according to the American Resort Development Association. Unethical salespeople use that fact to imply or even assert that the timeshare you buy will increase in value. I've heard this many times. You got to buy this. This is going to be $1 million spot. The truth is that's not true. On the resale market, the typical timeshare sells for 10% or less of what the original owner paid. 10% or less. $20,000, now worth $2,000. Know that ahead of time. Number two, don't buy a timeshare on vacation. What did my in-laws do? They got wined and dined on this vacation. Timeshare salespeople are often much better at selling than you are at resisting, especially when you're relaxed and having a great time. That's no state of mind to be in when you need to scan the details of a contract, if you need to assess potential exchange options and uncover things that can go wrong, such as rising annual maintenance fees or problems trading your share. Great example of this. My in-laws had bought this timeshare. And they decided, hey, we're going to, this is a big thing with the timeshares, we're going to swap a week. Instead of Vegas, we're going to go to and take the whole family to Florida. So they took us to this timeshare place, and it was right outside of Disney World. And, just for the heck of it, I said, well, let's see what this place would cost if I just rented it on my own and didn't go through the timeshare. And when I looked at this, it was comical to me. The price that my in-laws had to pay to get the timeshare to move from, there's a special up fee. I don't remember how much it was, but it was actually cheaper for me to go and rent the place on my own at a daily rate than what it cost them after they had already bought this timeshare out in Vegas to transfer. It cost them more to transfer than what I would have had to pay for it just off the street. So you need to know that. Don't pay retail. When you go and look at these timeshares and you've decided, hey, this is what I want to do, You got to be really careful for this because, you can pay thousands buying directly from other timeshare owners. Like we talked about, if that timeshare you paid $20,000 for is going to be worth 10% or less, look at the market of these things. There are a ton of people who get into these, and sometimes multiple ones. I've got clients that have multiple timeshares. I don't have enough time to take that many vacation days. Look at the used market and look for people who don't want to pay their annual maintenance fees. I know for a fact that you can pick up these timeshares for free if you're willing to assume the maintenance costs. So if you're going to go into buying one, the new snazzy place and all that sort of thing, and they're going to push you into, oh, this is fantastic. It's going to be $1 million property. If you were going to stay here on your own, you'd pay so much more. Okay, next thing, buy in attractive locations. Well, this kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? Don't buy a timeshare in an undesirable location on the promise you can trade it to stay in a more desirable one. If you don't want a vacation there, chances are potential exchange partners won't either. That's a big deal. If they don't want to trade for another property, they're guaranteed access to their properties each year without having to make advance reservations. And that's where we get into the whole talk. It talks here about floating week and point systems typically require more planning since desirable weeks are snapped up earlier require more points. If you don't want to play that game, go to a place where, for example, and I'm not saying that timeshares are terrible, so don't quote me on saying, timeshares are bad. I think they're okay, but you need to understand what you're getting into. But let's say that you're a person that goes to, Branson, Missouri. I don't even know if they sell timeshares, but let's make that an example. And you just love Branson, Missouri. And every year you make your annual trek to Branson, Missouri. Well, in that case, if you can find a timeshare that's on the second-hand market and it's in a desirable location, well, then maybe it makes sense to do it. Maybe that would be cheaper than, renting a hotel or, I don't know, if you pitch a tent and live out in the forest or something. I don't know. But anyway, that's one of the things that I think you need to look at is, look at comparable costs. Like I said, when we had this timeshare down in Florida with my in-laws, I could have rented it cheaper on my own. In the end, the thing about this is enjoy research and planning. Learning the ins and outs of each timeshare system takes effort. While points are often touted as a way for people to vacation at the last minute, the reality is that the best deals have to be secured 9 to 12 months in advance. So if you're a person that can plan ahead, you can, lay out your vacation calendar ahead, then this may be a cool thing to do. You might be able to find a used timeshare that doesn't have high maintenance costs. And you can plan out, listen, we do this every year, for example. You can put that 9 to 12 months. So you don't have to worry about, well, am I going to have to swap with somebody? I'm going to have to worry about how many points I have. And I'll add one little caveat to this thing about, the tax thing. So it is deductible if you pay mortgage interest on this or if you pay any property taxes on your timeshares. Not all the operating costs or management fees are deductible. A lot of people don't understand that. It's any interest that you pay that's mortgage related and any taxes that you pay based on what the timeshare is. So I hope this was helpful on the timeshares.
You've been listening to Ask Ralph, brought to you by Saggio Accounting Plus. Please subscribe to and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a rating and review. Our podcast is produced by Carolyn Peters. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at Ask Ralph Media. You can also hear me each week on 1450 WILM and on 1410 WDOV in Delaware and on the iHeartRadio app. Submit your questions or ideas for future shows by sending an email to AskRalph@AskRalph.com.
The information contained in this episode of Ask Ralph is based on data available as of the date of its release. Saggio Accounting Plus and Ask Ralph Media Inc. is under no obligation to update this content if changes occur. Applying this information to your specific situation requires careful consideration of all facts and circumstances, and any information provided is not to be considered as financial, tax, or legal advice. Please consult your tax advisor or attorney before acting on any material covered.